The two brothers that started Miller Brothers Construction are my grandfather Dale and his brother Floyd in 1945. Grandpa and Floyd were part of a family of 9 kids, I think 5 boys and 4 girls, and at some point all of the boys and even the brother-in-laws worked for Miller Brothers Construction in some capacity, either in the field or in the office. They worked at the slaughterhouse during the day, and then nights and weekends they started their dirt company. They started on small county jobs. They were a subcontractor to move the dirt and put the pipe in, and it grew into working in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, a couple of ditch diggers. With some weekend work, grew into building interstates. My father Dean and his cousin Bob, who is Floyd's son, took over in the 80s and 90s. They were equal partners. Bob ran the Kentucky operation, Dad ran the Ohio operation. Both of their brother-in-laws and brothers all worked in the company as operators or foremen. So the second generation had quite a few members that contributed. Bob did a lot of the interstate around Cincinnati and some of the Daniel Boone Parkway through Kentucky. And when the interstates were finished, Bob decided he wanted to stay down in Kentucky, and we started strip mining coal for quite a few years until Bob was ready to retire. Everything we do, even now, it's related to earthwork and drainage, pipe. We had an asphalt paving group for a while. We also had a landfill business that we dug landfill cells and did liners and caps for landfills. Miller Brothers had bought Harper Supply, which was a bridge company in the early 90s, and we incorporated them into Miller Brothers Construction and expanded our bridge building and evolved to where we do anything from ground level down. I never worked for Miller Brothers in high school or even in college. I worked for my uncle pouring concrete basement walls. I just didn't want the stigma of being the boss's kid. I wasn't ready for that. So even after college, I graduated in civil engineering and went to work for the Ohio Department of Transportation for 5 years. I always knew the opportunity was there at Miller Brothers from Dad, but I was never pressured to come to work. So in '95, I decided to take an opening at Miller Brothers. And when I first started at Miller Brothers, I was started doing basic takeoff and estimating. Denny Hines was our vice president. I think he's taught all of us that work there in some way or another how to put an estimate together and how to build a site from the office. He was a great mentor to many of us. Building has always been something that's fun to me. You get done and you can take a look at an interchange or a bridge or a road and say, you know, I had part in making that work. When I was 10 or 12 years old, we used to, Saturdays and Sundays, we'd have to get in the car and we'd drive a couple hours to look at a project that was going on. And to me, we drove a couple hours in the car to spend a couple hours looking at dirt. Wasn't always the most fun thing to do as a 10-year-old, but as I've gotten older, I understand why Dad wanted to do that. And he was very proud of what we were able to do as a company. And I take a lot of pride in the projects we build, so now I'm hauling my kids around and showing them dirt projects on the weekends and pointing out different aspects of things that we've built or had a part of. Miller Brothers is successful because of our people. Dad had kind of taught me that integrity, trust, and teamwork are 3 very important aspects to how he wanted to do business and how I would like to do business, and we believed in it enough that we made it part of our core values, and it's kind of a roadmap of how we do business.
You know, leadership has evolved over the years. I mean, when you look at Dale and Floyd Miller coming out of the Depression, I mean, it was a different time, and there were different demands on people. I mean, I've seen an evolution there, and you can see when Dean came in. Dean was a great leader. In a progression where Dean, he birthed some new ideas. We birthed Melco, a landfill group. We had Hillsdale Sand and Gravel. We had paving. Now Brad, the 3rd generation, has really, I think, put his stamp on the Miller family is by taking us to Central Ohio and launching Ann Arbor.
Private companies in Michigan want to do business with companies in Michigan, so it only makes sense for us to have an address in Michigan that we can say, hey, we're here to stay, we're doing business here. Look at what we've done, look at what we can do. The whole company itself in the past few years has been 60% plus private sector, with less than 40% being in the public sector. And in the early 90s, when I started, it was primarily 90% plus public and a little bit of private work.
Each generation sort of take those steps and not be afraid to try new things. And I think that speaks to the Miller family, and just, I think they're visionaries. What's the next 75 look like? I think technology will be paramount. We can compete with the big guys, and yet we're nimble enough to move around into some smaller markets. We believe at Miller Brothers that we're sort of on the front edge of technology, whether it's how we bid work to GPS.
We started out using them on dozers and graders. That's since evolved into, we're getting involved in excavators now. It just improves our overall productivity.
Drones are a big part of what we do. To be able to grade a site to 1/10 of an inch through technology, it helps us be more efficient.
The energy market is constantly evolving. We're completing a couple wind farm projects. Solar farms are another opportunity where it covers a lot of area. You know, the e-commerce market with warehousing is just so busy right now. We look for that to continue to do well. And I would guess that there's going to be spin-offs.
We're not a part of just a local community. We're part of a worldwide commodity now. We are influenced by our world more than we ever have been before. Our willingness to listen to new ideas will be paramount for Millers to stay in step with where our industry is going. New ideas are always welcomed, and I think that engages our employees. You have men and women out in the field, and they come to work like it was their own family business, and that loyalty, I think, goes a long way. People are just the most important asset we have, and we don't just use that as a cliche. They really are. Our people make the difference.
I don't have to be the smartest one in the room. I just need to know how to hire the smartest guy in the room, and we have a bunch of great people that work hard every day and are part of the team, and I look at them as part of the family. We've had a lot of people work here, and they're not afraid to bring their family here to be part of the team. So we have some second and third generation employees that are not blood related, but they're part of the Miller Brothers family. It's an honor to know that these families take so much pride in what they do that they would share it with their family, and can't thank them enough.
Good people who work hard and you can trust them, I think that's a foundation to build upon. And I think the idea of family still resonates to the third generation, and I think Dale and Floyd would be very proud of that today.